Time Carnage is a wave shooter in which you are tasked with taking down hordes of creatures from a range of time periods, one wave at a time. The premise certainly sounds interesting, but can it deliver the goods? Well, I'm Glenn at Switch Up, many thanks to Wales Interactive for the review copy, and now, let's find out. Similar to another game that I reviewed recently, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, this game was originally a VR game available on the PS4. You are stationed in your time machine and do not move around the level. You can move the camera to view your full surroundings however. Within your time machine you may choose to stock 4 weapons. You will only have 2 to choose from at the start of the game, but you can unlock more by making progress in the campaign mode. One of the game's biggest gameplay mechanics is that you cannot reload your weapon in the traditional way of pressing a reload button or shooting off screen. Instead, you must dock your weapon back into its holster and it will reload automatically over the course of a few seconds. This means that you cannot just main one gun all the way through, as you will need to dock it for reloading and use something else in the meantime. Whilst it can be argued that this system adds an extra layer of strategy to the game, with you needing to think about reload times and when best to use each weapon, almost like a Formula 1 driver deciding on which lap to make a pit stop, I really did miss being able to just reload and keep shooting. I don't feel that the game really gains anything from deviating from the well-beaten path in this respect. There are also these time parallax orbs that will slow down all enemies when shot. The campaign is made up of 4 time periods, each containing 4 levels with 5 waves of enemy per level. As well as the campaign, there is a challenge mode in which you can earn medals based on your performance against a particular objective, such as killing the dog enemies using just a bow, and there is also the arcade mode. Here you can customise which enemies you want to see, which level you would like to play in, and then you must survive for as long as you can. As well as unlocking weapons, you can also unlock certain perks, which can then be used to assist you in the arcade mode. Oddly enough, you cannot use these perks in the campaign mode, seemingly another bizarre decision made by the developers. I haven't played the VR version of this game, so I cannot comment on how it controlled, but it does appear that the controls haven't transferred very well across when using controller-based motion controls. Only the left Joy-Con makes use of motion, and this is how you aim your gun, whereas the stick on the right Joy-Con moves the camera. There is no way to swap this around, and as someone that is right-handed, this felt very uncomfortable. I would have preferred the option to swap this, so that I could aim the gun reticule with my dominant hand, something that needs a more fine sense of motor skill, and control the camera with my weaker hand. If you turn motion controls off and instead use the control sticks, then the controls just aren't responsive enough unfortunately. Even when I cranked the sensitivity up to its maximum level, it still just wasn't quite as precise as it needed to be. The L and R buttons pick up and drop weapons, whilst the ZL and ZR buttons fire the respective weapons for each hand that you are holding a weapon in. ZL being your left hand, ZR being your right hand. A press of the Y button will recenter the camera when using motion controls, and you will find yourself having to do this a lot. In co-op mode you can use one Joy-Con each, and either player can move the camera should they wish to. This solves the problem of being able to point with your dominant hand, and the game does feel much better in this mode, but the pointer does seem to need calibrating so much more in co-op, and you will constantly be having to remember to recenter the camera just to retain control. With a couple of odd design choices aside, the gameplay is fun, especially in co-op, and I will admit that you do start to get a feel for the controls after a longer period of play. However, the controls are certainly the game's biggest weakness, with you seemingly being asked to pick your poison between uncomfortable and unresponsive. Gameplay receives 13 out of 20 and controls receive 7 out of 20. When it comes to graphics and audio, Time Carnage takes a leaf out of the How to Look Like a B-Movie book, and to be perfectly honest, this was probably the perfect direction for this game to take. There are 16 different levels ranging from warehouses to jungles, and although some of the levels are a bit too dark for their own good, some also have a nice level of detail to them. It's quite amusing at times because it seems almost as if the creatures are running out of a matte painting, but again this just adds to that B-movie vibe. The enemies range from robots to zombies and also include dinosaurs, which was a particular highlight for me. After all, it's a scientific fact that anything with dinosaurs in instantly becomes 10% cooler. Well, apart from Jurassic Park 3 anyway. And you can even shoot a Spinosaurus in the face in this game to help exorcise the demons of that particular film. Music is instantly forgettable, and the sound effects are about as generic as is humanly possible. But again, they are appropriate to the style and the aesthetic that this game seems to be striving for. Graphics receive 13 out of 20 and audio receives 12 out of 20. Time Carnage costs £9.99 or $12.99, and for me this is probably about the right price point for this type of game. The campaign mode will probably take between 2 and 3 hours for most people to complete, with 3 levels of difficulty to choose between as well. When you factor in the challenges and the arcade mode as well as the co-op play, then you are getting a good amount of content for your money. Value receives 16 out of 20. To conclude, Time Carnage feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. It's a shame as there is a decent little game here, but it's almost as if there's an even better game lying just under the surface, scratching to get out. Unfortunately, certain factors prevent it from doing so. A fair price point and the inclusion of local co-op play help to counterbalance poor controls and some strange gameplay design choices, and Time Carnage receives a switch up score of 61%. Many thanks as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you aren't subscribed already, please consider doing so for all things Switch all the time. If you are, then maybe press that notification button to keep up to date with our latest content, and as always, ladies and gents, happy gaming.